Professor Wole Soyinka said something is criminally wrong with Nigeria.
I met the president, as some of you may have noticed, a few weeks ago. First meeting, by the way, anyway, for public consumption in about 5 years. First meeting. And one of the items, in fact, the top on the list of my items, was the plight of one Mubarak Bala, who's been in jail, going now for 3 years, sentenced in another part of this country for alleged blasphemy. I want to know from this association, from this gathering, where in our constitution it says that any citizen can be sentenced for blasphemy, sentenced to prison. And he's there, he's still awaiting. I think there's been an appeal to the Supreme Court, but I believe that that process should have been short-circuited long ago. To make matters worse, a woman called Rhoda Jubat, thank you, was similarly sentenced for criticizing the extrajudicial murder of Deborah, another citizen of this nation. She was released thanks to the effort of the Human Rights Association just a few weeks ago. Look at how long she spent in prison. That a human being is sentenced for condemning a criminal act, an inhuman act, and yet, I'm sorry, I'm asking, where were you, all of you, when this happened? I didn't know about it. I have an excuse, at least. I'm teaching outside. But you were here, and this woman was sentenced, and it took the efforts of a Human Rights Association, finally, after several months, to get her out of jail for defending the law, for insisting on justice. There's something criminally wrong about this nation. And when I spoke to the President Tinubu, I called his attention to an open letter by Mubarak Bala to the President after his inauguration, small pamphlet to which I added my own preface and a poem. During that meeting, it was the first item. He'd never heard of it, even though I'd handed it over to somebody close to him who promised that he would make sure it was handed to him personally. However, that's one individual.
After listening to this speech, I said, is Professor just waking up from slumber, or is he realizing now that there is something wrong with Nigeria? Because it is not a news, it is not something that is new, it is not something that will just come out to talk like a breaking news that something is wrong with our nation, Nigeria. Of course, something is absolutely wrong with Nigeria. Now, you see, if we begin to talk now, maybe Professor will refer us to as fascist. They will refer to us like, different sort of things. They will call us different names. But the truth is this. You see, the leadership in Nigeria, if you look at this level of Professor Wole Soyinka, Tinubu, Obasanjo, Buhari, IBB, Gowon, and so on and so forth, these are people who have been in power right from independence. These people have been in the corridor of power and they don't want to leave. They are good. It's not enough. The way these people reason now is not enough. You may be a professor, but your professor could be the professor of abacus age. Because this leadership age we have in Nigeria, they cannot meet up to the current demands. They can't meet up to the current standards that we are seeing in this age. So what I'm saying is this. Things are absolutely wrong with Nigeria. Now, that is why I am clamoring for Nigeria to go back to Republican Constitution. Let us go back to regional governments, where each region will have their own security, each region will have their own resources, each region will even have, some bylaws and acts that will need them. We can do that and confederate in Nigeria and live together in peace. I think that is what made Nigeria to be great. When people come out to say Nigeria is a great country, these are the things that made Nigeria to be great, not what we are seeing today. So Professor coming out to say what he said is absolutely correct. He is correct to what he said, but let it not be surprise to him that something is absolutely wrong with the nation. This has been wrong with the nation right from time. And what is wrong with the nation is affecting all sectors. all angles. Just imagine someone was sentenced because the person criticized the death of Deborah. Then who are you going to blame? What about Atiku Abubakar, who withdrew the tweet and the Facebook post she wrote to condemn the killing of Deborah? They threatened him. He pulled it down. If somebody like Atiku could be threatened to put down his post because they supported the killing. This Nigeria, we need a referendum. We can live in regions. It will be better for us. Because the things that are going on in Nigeria, if you talk now, people who don't reason well will come out to tell you, you are this, you are that, you are this. But people are dying. Are you not seeing the evidence that things are not working? Things are not working. And this is to our own detriment, believe me or not.
Many of us from the north are famed for cattle keeping. And when you are driving the cattle through different grazing grounds, the cattle believe that you love them so much because you protect them from the elements, because you protect them from other wild animals. But if the cattle were to know that you are the one who would end up eating them, they would treat you very differently. Invariably, they do not know. And therefore, you will continue controlling them the way you do, and you will continue eating them the way you do. But it's a totally different case when you are leading human beings. They are not like cattle. You may lead them in a particular direction. You may think that you have lulled them into a false sense of security. You may think that you have deadened their minds. But always remember that one day, if you don't do that which is good and right for your fellow men, there is a day of reckoning. There is a day of reckoning, and history has demonstrated that it can come in the twinkling of an eye. History has demonstrated that kings have been toppled. History has demonstrated that presidents have been removed. History has demonstrated that great men have been cut down. History has demonstrated that men can rise when they are misled. History has demonstrated that men are indeed capable of rising up. You know, I always read these words of the American Declaration of Independence because I love them. They apply to humanity. Before America became what it is, they had enlightened men. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable right, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it is for this reason that governments are instituted amongst men, and that when those governments fail to perform, it is the duty of those people to rise up and to remove such governments.